Wave your hand when I call your name. Gentleman, Lander Taylor. Best you can do, wave your hand. Lander Taylor. Nope. Thought we only had 2 at Cobb. DeMontre Gordy.
That's what the sheet lists, Atlanta
Thank you.
Taylor's and Cobb.
All right. Let's see. DeMontre Gordy. We got position 25. Is Clayton Carter on yet? Yeah, there
I
we go.
am.
All right.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Sorry. All right. 22 CP 208532. 100 days without indictment. $6,000 good bond as of February the 16th. 2 counts of cruelty to children in the first. 1 count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer. But I have, for some reason, that he had made a bond, cashback bond, with second chance bail bonding. So did he post this bond?
That's correct. Well, he had posted his bond previously last year. He had a split bond. He had a $5,000 bond, $2,500 on the cruelty to children charges, and then a UJR on the obstruction. And then pretrial issued a warrant for him for not reporting. And then as a result of that, second chance surrendered his bond and came off of it.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
All right, I got you.
That's where we're at right now.
All right, Bostic, pre-trial.
I didn't hear which defendant.
DeMontre Gordy. I sent you the rotation. I don't know if you got it.
I did. We don't always go by.
It's number 25.
Yeah, see, I had 5, not the first person. 25. 26 prior arrests. 5 misdemeanor, couple of them DUIs and FTA. Prior felony, criminal attempted felony in 2014, a 4 during the first. Couple of battery, family violence in 2014 and 2019. 4 arrests for probation violation, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have before you DeMontre Gordy. He's 32 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. He's from the Macon area. If released on bond, he'd live with his lifelong friend Todd Garland at 1704 2nd Street. That's Macon, Georgia 31201. That's different from what's in the system. Your Honor, you see, he's had this bond, a $6,000 bond for 100 days. He hasn't been able to post it. I don't believe there's any chance that he will have the ability to post this. And so I just asked the court to release him on a UJR bond. And if the court deems necessary, put him on an ankle monitor. So I don't know that there's any other, I don't know if there's any possibility of him making any amount of bond at this point.
Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Honor. The state would ask that the bond not be made into a UJR, but he should have to post the $6,000 bond with an ankle monitor. So the state's concerned that he's a bond surrender for not reporting, so he does qualify for the ankle monitor and should have to post a bond.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 5021 Old National Highway in College Park. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And Mr. Clayton, you already took care of the FTA, the companion case. I think that's been dealt with, right?
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Dismissed.
All right, and no unsupervised contact with minor children. So that's anyone under the age of 17. So we'll do 1,500, 1,500, and 500. 1,500, 1,500, and 500. Best of luck to you, sir. And also stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. That completes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Lander Taylor.
Let's go with the females, Your Honor.
All
They
right,
have to go back and get it.
all right, DeMontre Gordy, you can lead the booth. All right, Brittany Russian. All right, this is 21 CP 201-545, 96 days without indictment. $4,000 good bond, February the 18th. 1,000 on each count, criminal damage to property, public indecency, obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and criminal trespass. This is February the 18th. Pre-trial.
5 prior arrests, 1 misdemeanor, 1 FTA in 2023. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. That FTA is actually concerns this particular case. If the court doesn't already know, Ms. Russian was set this bond after a pretrial surrender on the 18th of February. So that's where we're at. She's been held on this $4,000 bond, is unable to make it or any bond at this time. She was originally granted a UJR with wrap services, but failed to report, and that's where the bench warrant came from. She is residentially challenged, though she is a lifelong Georgia resident. She has an aunt here in Georgia, but she doesn't have any working or current phone numbers, so we can't get in contact with family. She's also told us that she is a high school graduate. Given the length of time that she's been in custody and we've seen absolutely no movement on this case, we are asking for a reduction, understanding that the court is likely not going to be inclined to put her back on pretrial. We are asking for a total bond of $1,000, $250 on each count. Thank you.
All right, what's Mr. Malkin?
Well, we were going to ask for a $2,000 bond, so we're not too far away. So we can go along with the defense's request and stay away from the incident location, of course.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Beth Spencer or Jeff, Geof Beakley, Beakly. Stay away from the Peachtree Methodist Church at 3180 Peachtree Road Northeast. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county. It's 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, mental health treatment, or anything that Miss Rosenhoover gets you into, ma'am. And also supply an address once she gets some sort of housing, Miss Rosenhoover. So $250 per count. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. And that completes my business, if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Sir Quayne Ridgely. '23 CP 216255, 99 days without indictment, no bond as of February the 15th. Cruelty to children in the first degree, cruelty to children in the second degree, cruelty to children in the first degree, cruelty in the first degree, and cruelty in the second degree. Pre-trial.
Prior arrests, both for consultation. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a unique situation in which my client does not have much of history whatsoever. She was actually a victim of an unfortunate sex trafficking ring and has been dealing with a lot of issues since then. I would like to note that on the Zoom, she has her niece, her father, her cousin. A lot of people are watching on YouTube on support of her behalf. Her aunt actually came into town this week to be able to watch and be present to help in getting her out. I would like to note that DFACS is involved. She actually had a hearing yesterday on it, and I received a copy of the plan. It is a reunification plan that DFACS is recommending. There are certain timelines that she needs to adhere by, most of them being August the 15th in order to be reunified with her children. That is the plan. There's daycare in place. There's a grandparent in the state of Florida that is now going to petition to be able to keep those children until my client can adhere to all of the reunification plans. She's been very active with DFACS and trying to get custody of her children and be able to see her children again. This was a co-defendant case. She will be living with her father upon release. Also, she will be getting treatment and therapy as well as parenting classes as part of her parenting plan that's in place. So we would be asking for a reasonable bond to be set. She has many ties to the community, as I've already said, through her family. She will, as part of her parenting plan, also be required to get a job in addition to those classes that I indicated. Her father is who she will be living with, and I have that address. It is a Piedmont Avenue address. I can put it in the chat, but I believe we already updated it with the court as well. She does have family here. Her whole life has been in Georgia. And we would just be asking for a $1,000 bond per charge due to the nature not being able to go through pretrial or UJR.
We know the status of the alleged victim. Like
The child,
yes, ma'am.
concerning safety.
No, concerning
at?
the health status.
Yes, they're actually thriving. I have spoken to the attorney in my office who is handling, it's unfortunately 2 children. They are currently in foster care through DFACS, and they have been seeing the family. They've seen my client's father, and her aunt who flew into town actually has an appointment to go see them in person tomorrow. Lots of family have been able to have video visits, and they are doing very well.
Okay. And that's also the 3-month, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I've had a chance to take a quick look at the case in Odyssey, and it appears that it's going to be indicted this week. And this case involves severe malnourishment. It's just a horrible case, just reading the summary that I read. And the state would request, since she has to receive a bond, that it be $100,000 per count, no contact with the victims, and an ankle monitor. Thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact unless it's through something in DFACS. I know there's the whole, I did enough work in DFACS, the whole reunification plan with both initials of both minor children are S as in Sam and M as in Mary. So no further contact with them unless it is following the DFACS plan and it can't be unsupervised. Have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. Employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And also anything that's required through juvenile court and DFACS for reunification. So sometimes there's parenting classes, things of that nature. So cooperate with DFACS, work that parenting plan. I know you'll also have follow-up hearings in juvenile court, so you can leave for that. Just let Ms. Eustace know when you go. And the ankle monitoring company also. Bostic, you said the first 2 were what was her criminal history?
Arrest for consultation.
Okay, consultate. I got you. Right. What did the co-defendant get on bond? Let me see.
I was not aware the co-defendant had a bond hearing already, Judge. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, I read this and I mean, I have to say it was bothersome, and I can imagine in your position, well, the defense will be already. Let's see. So the co-defendant has co-defendant's only charged with 1 count. Oh, and I did that. It was $45,000. I was like, that sounds familiar. So no further contact with the co-defendant, and that's Montrell, Montrell, mention Mention, unless it is something working the DFACS plan. So if it requires you to have contact with them in court, so we'll do 30,000 per count. $30,000 per count. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Is that it for you, Miss Eustace? No?
No, Your Honor, I have one more. Thank you.
All right. Lander Taylor. Nope. Lander Taylor. I don't have him back in Cobb yet. All
Not
right.
yet, Judge.
Jacoria Orr. We got 2 cases, 23 CP 216-428, 91 days, no bond, February the 22nd, theft by taking. Position 28, 23 CP 216-429. Jacoria Orr, 91 days without indictment, no bond as of February the 22nd. Home invasion, first degree, armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies.
Only arrest.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Judge. Miss Orr is 19 years old. She is notably 6.5 months pregnant with a high-risk pregnancy. With her first child, the child is breech. She's had to be rushed to Grady 3 times since she's been incarcerated here at the jail. She is also a student at Spelman University, Judge, where she has a full ride scholarship there, is currently or was studying psychology. She will, of course, be able to continue through that scholarship, but She of course just needs to be able to get out, Judge. She was working as well through Amazon and also as an esthetician through her mother's salon. She does have good family support, Judge. In fact, her mother is on the Zoom call as well. She'll be able to live with her mother should she be released from jail at the address on file, and it is an Atlanta address. Judge, Ms. Orr's been very cooperative with the investigation about this case, about identifying the potential co-defendants that she was arrested, that were or maybe involved in the incident that she was arrested for, Judge. Again, considering this is her very first arrest, she has a lot going on in her life, including, of course, a child that she's currently carrying, and a full ride scholarship. Judge, I would just ask for a reasonable bond for Ms. Orr. I spoke with her mother earlier today. The family's not able to afford too much for bond at this moment, Judge. Understanding, of course, the seriousness of these charges, Judge, I would just ask for a reasonable bond considering.
Mr. Malkin.
Your Honor, these are very serious charges. We've spoken with the victim, and he's been in and out of the hospital due to being hit with a gun during this armed robbery. The victim believes that the defendant is a danger to the community and is very opposed to the defendant having a bond. Because the defendant is statutorily entitled to a bond, the state is requesting a $40,000 bond on the home invasion, $50,000 on the armed robbery, $20,000 on each of the aggravated assaults, and $10,000 for the firearm, and then another $20,000 for the theft by taking case.
All right. On 27, ending in 6428, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1390 Piedmont Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Ernest Mennefield, Mennefield. You could have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. And also school, as long as you're enrolled, you can provide where you're enrolled, proof of enrollment, and a schedule. $15,000 good bond. On 28, ending in 6429. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 426 Sunset Avenue Northwest. No further contact with Ruben Twiley, Twiley, or Demetria, Demetria Fowler, Fowler. Have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you're going to be working, and also school, as long as you provide proof of enrollment, your class schedule, you could do that. Medical also will go into obviously when you're having the baby, you can use that. 30,000 home invasion, 40,000 armed robbery, 20 on each ag assault, 20, 20, and 10. 30, 40, 20, 20, and 10. Best of luck to you, ma'am. We still don't have that person in Cobb. How about Haki Turner? Thank you, ACDC. Haki Turner. Gotta wave your hand if you're Mr. Turner. Nope.
I think he's in ACDC, Judge.
Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah, you're right. I do know some ACDs.
Those are ACDC.
Phillips. All right, let me pull these out. Phillips. What about, do we have Marietta yet?
Judge, the defendant
Marietta
had made bond on that case.
Yeah, how about Andrea Patterson? All right. We got position 6, Bostic 23 CP 216251, 99 days without indictment, $5,000 good bond as of February the 15th for theft by shoplifting. Free trial.
No prior arrest.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Collins.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Patterson, he's 38 years old. He has an 11th grade education. Before getting arrested, he did have employment. He was working at the Orange Store, which is a convenience store, as a stocker. He has a close relationship with the owner of that store, and he believes that if he is released, he'll be able to return to that line of work. He is a father. He has a 14-year-old child. He's been in Georgia now for almost a year. He is at the moment residentially challenged, Your Honor. Our social worker team is working with Mr. Patterson to try to find him safe housing. We are still in our efforts in that, Your Honor. However, we would ask if you would consider a bond reduction today, so that when we are able to locate housing for Mr. Patterson, his bond is more doable for some of the nonprofit organizations, specifically the Bail Project. Now, as you've heard from pretrial, he doesn't have history. He's not a violent person, no history of missing court. If you look at the warrant, Your Honor, the alleged shoplifting happened at a public. Most of the items taken are personal items that an individual would need to survive. Your Honor, he's not a violent person. And so we're asking if you would consider cutting the bond in half today, Your Honor, to $2,500.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
They will concur with Ms. Collins' request.
All right, $2,500 good bond. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Publix grocery stores and stay away from 595 Piedmont Avenue. Must supply an address where you'll be living to the jail upon bonding out. $2,500 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You could leave the booth.
Thank you. That's my only matter, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Lamonte Render. Mr. Render. Lamonte Render.
Judge, I think he's at ACDC.
That's correct.
Oh, on here it doesn't say ACDC at all. No, it
Yeah, I
doesn't.
think the location was changed prior
Yeah,
after.
he got
Oh,
moved
okay.
yesterday, Judge.
Okay. All right. Stand by, Mr. Cho. Grady Johnson. All right. 91 days without indictment. Position 16, 23 CP 216455. Grady Alexander Johnson, theft by taking, $5,000 good bond as of February the 23rd. Free trial.
Prior arrest.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Johnson is 18 years old. He was born and raised. My apologies, Your Honor. His father's address is a Wisconsin address, 610 State Street in Ripon, Wisconsin, 54971. And his mother lives in Alabama. Sister lives in Dallas, Georgia. He's a high school graduate from Roswell. Your Honor, considering the charges and his lack of criminal history, we are going to ask for unsecured judicial release. His bond was currently set at $5,000. Back in February, we were asking for it to be lowered to unsecured judicial release. If the court is not inclined, we ask for a bond not to exceed $2,000.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
What was Mr. Cazzoli requesting? Sorry.
UJR or $2,000.
Oh, okay. Well, not too far apart. State would request $3,000 bond.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2060 Lancaster Square in Roswell, Georgia. No further contact with Catherine Kozonac, Cozonac. And he does have an address here in Atlanta.
No, Your Honor, he would have to, if there could be something written into the his bond conditions allowing him to return to Wisconsin, where he would have a permanent address. Mr. Johnson, do you have anywhere where you can stay near Atlanta? Could you stay with your sister? You can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, so you'd have to go to Wisconsin. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Just thumbs up. That's all we can hear. Thumbs up or thumbs down. All right, Mr. Malkin, he's got to go back to Wisconsin.
All right. Is he going to be able to come back for court appearances, Mr. Cazzoli? Can he fly back? We have money.
Mr. Johnson, you'd be able to make that, correct? Okay. Yeah, he grew up in Roswell. The issue is that his parents divorced after high school, which was just this past year. That's the only reason he doesn't have a permanent address here right now. Again, he has a pending full ride to Hawaii Pacific University as well. I neglected to mention that before this, Your Honor. This is somebody who's focused on trying to get back on track. So we would request that he be allowed to return home, and he will be able to return with help.
We'll consent to the defense's request, Your Honor, and If we have to go to Hawaii to extradite him, we can do that.
Mr. Malcolm will go get him himself.
Exactly.
I lived on Maui for a year, so it's pretty nice. All right, $2,000 good bond. Can he make that, Mr. Cazzoli?
Mr. Johnson, we'll be able to talk, sir. We have something that might be able to help you out. Okay. Okay.
It's like,
Thank you, Judge.
$220 or something, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, but we'll talk, Mr. Johnson.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. You could leave the booth. Bobby Thornton. All right, position 20, Bostic, 23 CP 216472, 91 days without indictment, $11,000 good bond, February the 23rd. Willful obstruction, felony, criminal trespass, reckless conduct. Wow.
Extensive criminal history, at least 60 prior arrests, repeat offender, at least 8 felonies, from burglaries, at least 4 burglaries, robberies, entering autos, 2 an aggravated assault, 6 misdemeanors, a prior battery, 5 arrests for probation violations, 3 FTAs, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Thornton is 59 years old. He is a lifelong Atlanta resident, but he was residentially challenged at the time of his arrest. Your Honor, he does qualify for disability, but did not have the necessary resources to help him apply for that. So I have been in contact with a social worker in trying to get him that kind of contact, as well as trying to get him to qualify for some sort of program that would provide him with the housing he needs. Your Honor, we would ask that his bond be reduced from the current $11,000 to $5,000, so that once he does find a program, it would be a seamless transition using the bail project, which does require a confirmed housing to pay that bond, Your Honor. So that would ensure that he would not be released directly to the street. So we are asking for that to be lowered to $5,000, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Malcolm.
State requests that the bond not be lowered below $10,500 based on his extensive history.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 490 Whitehall Street Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with BERISA, last name YEURA, and no further contact with Officer Thomas Ward unless it's in his official capacity. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you can supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working, or in your doctor visits for your disability. You also need to provide an address where you're going to be living. So $4,500 and $4,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Dorley Nottingham. 13, Bostic, 23, CP 216374, 95 days without indictment, $51,500 good bond as of February the 22nd, 2023. VGCSA, possession of Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, abandonment of controlled substances, and possession of drug-related objects. Pre-trial.
Extensive criminal history, repeat offender, 75 prior arrests, at least 7 felonies, 4 more than 7, sorry. At least 4 being burglaries, felony theft by shoplifting, a couple of controlled substance, felony escape, at least 11 misdemeanors, and 3 arrests for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Judge. This is Daryl Nottingham. I believe the jail has unfortunately misspelled his name. But Mr. Daryl Nottingham is 60 years old. He was last residing through Gateway, essentially, Judge. He would still be able to get mail at that address on 201 Washington Street. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident. He has family here as well, sisters, adult children, all living in Georgia, in Atlanta specifically. He's made it through the 9th grade, and while he was at Gateway, he has been working to get his life more and more back on track. He wasn't or just had submitted an application for Social Security assistance, and Judge, we're still waiting on hearing back from that. Judge, he's been in jail now 95 days with a $51,500 bond. To be honest, Judge, he's not able to make any bond at all whatsoever. So, Judge, I can only ask for a UJR, or if the court's not inclined to grant that, I understand that, but we'd ask for a $5,000 bond in total, just because there's no other way to get Mr. Nottingham out.
I think it was 77 MDMA pills. Mr. Malcolm?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would request a $10,000 bond on the felony drug charge, and we can consent to a UJR on the 3 misdemeanors for a total of 10,000 split plus the ankle monitor.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1021 Forest Street, North Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. 10,000 count 1, UJR to the jail. The 3 other counts. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You also need to supply an address where you're going to be living upon release. Supply it to the jail. Best of luck to you, sir. Bernard McClendon.
Cobb is on now,
I'm sorry.
Judge.
All right, got you, Cobb. Sorry about that. Lander Taylor. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Lang, 22 CP 211639, 278 days without indictment. Got $15,500 good bond as of November the 29th. BGCSA possession of Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute. BGCSA possession of Schedule 1 or 2 substance, certain acts on a bus or rail station prohibited, criminal trespass, and possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance. Pre-trial.
9 prior arrests, prior purchase, manufacturing, sale of marijuana, 2 counts, 2 arrests for probation violation, 1 misdemeanor, open case 21 CP 202867, cocaine, meth, Schedule 1 or 2, fare evasion, 22 CR 00365, 3G, obstructions, 3 count and fare evasion, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Taylor is 37 years old. He's lived in Georgia for the last 16 years of his life. He's had a good address since his first appearance. He has 7 children whom he cares for in every way he's able. He was unemployed at the time of his arrest. He had been working in demolition. He is a certified demolition worker with different construction agencies, but did not have an active contract at the time of his arrest. Looking at the information presented, looking at his history in this case, Mr. Taylor has been in custody since August on this case. His preliminary hearing was 6 months ago. The case still has not been indicted. There's been no progress on this case. He has a bond he is unable to afford. I'm asking the court to consider $2,000 per charge for a $10,000 bond.
All right, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. With the 2 open cases and his history, we're requesting a $12,000 bond on him.
And actually, Your Honor, if I may.
Okay.
I just looked at the breakdown of the bond and just wanted to fix my argument. I'm asking the 3 charges that are currently at $5,000 be reduced to $2,000 each, which would make a $6,500 total good bond.
All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all MARTA property, buses, train stations, bus stops. If you walk past a MARTA bus stop on the street, you cannot stop and tie your shoe. That'll be a violation of your bond condition. So when I say no MARTA property, can't be around any MARTA property. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Where's he going to live?
He's going to live at the Saybrook Circle address in Lilburn, Georgia.
All right, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or see your lawyer. Don't come to Fulton County for anything else. Don't get gas, don't get anything to eat. Court or to see your lawyer. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical appointments, work as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. Is he going to be living by himself?
I do not have any information about if anyone else lives at that address, Your Honor.
So I may need it for basic life necessities. And basic life necessities. All right. So
ask, Your Honor, for the stay out of Fulton County, that there also be employment there if he happens to get a contract that's going to bring him into Fulton County, that he be allowed to enter for work.
that's fine, as long as he can prove it, and you just come here for that and leave Fulton County. So 2,500 on each one that's 5,000, so 2,500, 2,500, 100, 100, and 2,500. Best of luck to you, sir. Let's see,
Step
Mr.
out.
Taylor, that's $7,700 total.
you can leave the booth, sir.
Your Honor, that concludes my business with you tonight. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you. Have a good week.
Have a good evening.
Bostic, you got my birthday present ready for tomorrow, or are you just gonna wait?
I'll be out of service.
Oh, you gonna celebrate with me? I got you. Okay, Bernard McClendon. All right, 23 CP 216368, 95 days without indictment, criminal damage to property. There's a $5,000 good bond as of February the 23rd for Bernard McClendon. Ms. Safarasi, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. McClendon, he's been incarcerated 95 days. That's without an indictment or a preliminary hearing. He had first appearance back in February of this year, and he is set to have a prelim on June 5th. A little bit about Mr. McClendon is he's 51 years old. We do have a good address for him in Jonesboro, where he resides with his brother. We do have contact information for him, his brother. Mr. McClendon spent his entire life here in Georgia. He does have his brother and his 23-year-old kid in Georgia. He's up to 11th grade education. At the time of his arrest, he was painting houses and he did construction where he would lay sheetrock and various home improvement constructions work. Your Honor, we've applied him to the bail project and to a program, but we haven't heard back from either. His bond is currently $5,000. We are asking for a UJR today.
All right. Mr. Malkin,
Is he in a bond surrender?
There was a bond surrender, I believe, on a state court case?
Okay, I just saw that.
It didn't come up still in Odyssey, so I don't believe anything is holding him other than this case.
Okay, all right. Let's see. State would request a $2,500 bond for Mr. McClendon.
all right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 234 Memorial Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. That's called the Welcome House. $2,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's see, Zesmond Correll Reams. Mr. Reams. All right, 18 Bostic 23 CP 216464, 91 days without indictment, $2,500 good bond as of February the 23rd, burglary in the second degree. Pre-trial.
8 prior arrests. Felony is possession of cocaine, couple of misdemeanors, simple battery, 2 counts, a battery, substantial visible harm in 2021. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Reams is originally from South Carolina, but he's been in Atlanta for the last 8 years. He's a high school graduate and attended some college as well. He's currently residentially challenged. He has 2 daughters. And before his incarceration, he was working with a moving contractor. Your Honor, due to his current housing status, he is not qualified for the bail project. We're asking for an unsecured judicial release, Your Honor. If the court is able, if the court is not, we would ask for a bond not to exceed 1,000, so a reduction by 1,500 as we continue to look for housing.
Mr. Malkin.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, 1 second. Mr. Reams, was something that I said incorrect, sir? Okay, my apologies, sir. I'm reading off the notes of my colleague. Is there a way we could get it unmuted? I don't know if this is something important that might factor into your decision.
I don't know. We can try. I can't promise you that it's going to work.
Judge, you want me to mute? He's in 3 South booth.
Yeah, if you can make it work.
3 South booth 2, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay, I'll try to unmute her.
You have a house, is that what you're saying, sir? All right, I can read lips okay.
Is it in Fulton County? Jonesboro.
Okay, you are unmuted now, Mr. Reams, so you can
I'm out on bond now with the bail project. I have housing in Jonesboro, Georgia.
Jonesboro, Georgia is where you can stay. All right, so do you know the address off the top of your head?
Sierra Heights Drive. I got it written down in my room. I'm out on bond now, actually.
You're out on bond currently?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are you doing here then?
On the bill project.
Oh, they may come off of that then. You're out on bond on this charge?
They didn't, yes, ma'am. They didn't come off of my bond.
Wait, is it for this charge?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay, for a different charge. They might.
Your Honor, I do see that he also does have a foreign county hold. So if a UJR to the hold is possible. I'm seeing no, sir. All right. I'm just reading off what's in Odyssey, Mr. Reams. My apologies, sir. What's your situation?
They were unaware that I was in jail when they tried me for the other charge, but I was already incarcerated. But they said they couldn't find me.
It was an
They
FTA.
looked in the system, but I was already locked up when they tried me, try to bring me up to court.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, Your Honor, we are asking for a UJR regardless through the jail if that's possible. And if there's still a hold that they want to act on, they can take him. And if not, Your Honor, again, his bond's currently is set at 2,500.
Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. I've looked at the warrant, given the facts of the case and how long he's been in, the state will consent to Mr. Cazzoli's request to the UJR.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. The hold's in Clayton County, Mr. Cazzoli?
Your Honor, it's not listed on Odyssey where that hold is. Do you know where it is, sir? Mr. Reams?
Oh, I muted him back. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
I muted him back. I'll unmute him.
They said they was gonna go back on my bond. They have it here. They have the whole here, but I was already incarcerated. They said they had to see proof first before they go off of the take the FTA off.
So it's a Fulton County FTA?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
It says foreign county in Odyssey.
No, it's Fulton County.
Well, Your Honor, regardless, we're asking for the UJR. If another county comes and picks him up, that's what happens.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1197 Peachtree Street. It's called Five Church, that restaurant. You're gonna have ankle monitor paid for by the county. You'll have 48 hours to have that placed on your ankle for court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You also need to supply that address to Mr. Cazzoli so he can get that filed. So what we'll do, Mr. Cazzoli, is $1,000 good bond or UJR to the hold. That way, if they don't come get him or it's messed up, then he can at least post $1,000.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
Best of luck to you, sir. You could leave the booth. All right, now do we have Taylor Lander? Come on up to the chair, Taylor or Lander Taylor.
That was Cobb, Judge.
Oh, he's still okay. Did they leave? They just did. He didn't come in there, did he?
Yeah, you did him
Oh, I
already.
did that. Yep. So, that's because I got it. I got to put that in email. How about is it Haki Turner, Mr. Turner? Sorry if I mispronounced it. 23 CP 216108. Position 21, Bostic theft by taking, 103 days without indictment, $5,000 good bond as of February the 10th. Wow.
33 prior arrests, 4 misdemeanors, 5 arrests for probation violation, 2 FTAs, at least 5 felonies, theft by receiving, 2 financial transaction card theft, and theft by taking. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Turner is 41 years old. He has been incarcerated for 103 days on a $5,000 bond. He does have a good address in Snellville, and I just filed a change of address, so he will receive his court notices there. That's where he resides with his mother, and they've been there for 2.5 years. He does have 1 child who's 3 years old, who's currently, of course, living with the other parent. And at the time of arrest, he was working for doing event security for State Farm Arena and the Brave Stadium. We have applied for the bail project for Mr. Turner. Unfortunately, the bail project does not interview people in ACDC. So we have been unsuccessful in utilizing that resource, and his mother has been unable to bond him out as well. Given that it's a theft charge, we are asking the court for a UJR today. Just a little more background information. Mr. Turner is a high school graduate and he did 2 years of college at Long Island University. And he's been in Georgia for 16 years. So he does have strong ties to the community, Judge. And really it's just a matter of not having the funds to bond out, which is why we're asking for the UJR today.
5 North, booth 3, sit up straight. 5 North, booth 3, sit up straight. Wake up. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
The state would request that the bond remain the same for Mr. Turner.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 177 North Avenue Northwest. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property. Any Georgia Tech property. No further contact with Emily McPhail, McPhail. You'll have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. And stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. $2,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle if there's any type of hold that pops up. Best of luck to you. Noel Kendrick. Position 2, Bostic, 23 CP 215095, 143 days without indictment, no bond as of February the 21st. Burglary in the 2nd degree. Pre-trial.
5 prior arrests, couple of felonies, 2011 criminal attempted felony and tools, 2017 burglary in the 2nd degree. Sentence 3 years confinement, 5 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Safarasi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kendrick has been incarcerated 143 days. That's without an indictment. We have first and periods back in January of this year where he did receive a $20,000 bond. We had a prelim in February of 2021 of this year where his counts 1 and 2 were actually dismissed and they added just the burglary charge. But Judge Drake did no bond him at that hearing. And so today he's been sitting no bond since that. And so he is legally entitled to a bond today. Mr. Kendrick is 59 years old. We have a good address for him here in Stone Mountain, where he's had this address for about 12 to 13 years. He resides there with his sister, and we do have good contact and have verified that address with his sister. He's been in Georgia since 2010. So he's been there for a good about 13 years now, Your Honor. He does have family in Georgia. His sister, his nephew, and his nieces live here. He also has 2 adult children. He's a high school graduate with some college for music performance. He plays drums. He's actually a jazz musician, and he has gone on tour for George Michael's as well as gone on tour and done recordings for Harry Connick Jr. And he's been a drummer now for about 40 years. Your Honor, we are asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000 so I could apply him to the bail project. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Mr. Kendrick is accused of committing the exact crime that he was on probation for committing and that he went to prison for committing. So the state is requesting a $50,000 bond for Mr. Kendrick.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1723 Lakewood Avenue Southwest. Stay away from all Family Dollar stores. You'd have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. If you get some sort of job, Ms. Safarasi, and it's out of town, just submit an order, if he has to travel or something, if he gets employment. But stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. Obviously, if you get a job, you can come here for that since it's like some sort of gig, but $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Stay out of Fulton County.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's see. Justin Phillips. Is number 1, 23 CP 215670, 120 days without indictment. Got a $35,000 split bond. Let's see, possession of fire by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, selling, possessing, distributing, or other offenses associated with ecstasy, 4 grams of ecstasy looks like. Reckless conduct, willful obstruction. Wow.
11 prior arrests, 3 arrests for probation violations, 2 for FTA, 1 misdemeanor conviction, currently on probation out of Walton County for theft by taking. Sentence for 2016 for 10 years, nothing further.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was muted. Mr. Phillips has been in jail now 120 days without bond, judge, so he is entitled to a bond today. He has 3 children, judge, and 1 baby on the way. He co-parents and does see these kids a lot. He's lived in Atlanta since 2007. So he is stationed here, judge. We are working on finding him a place to live, judge. As of 2 days ago, we were on track to do so. He would have been staying with his girlfriend, but I spoke with his girlfriend today, who told me that she would not be able to take him into her house at the moment. So we're still working on finding a place to live, judge. We're just asking for a reasonable bond to be set for Mr. Phillips at an amount not to exceed $50,000 total.
Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
All right. Did Mr. Rhodes ask for a $50,000 bond? 50?
Yes.
Okay. And his bond currently is 35,000?
It's a 35 split. There's no bond on the first 3 charges.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
I didn't catch that. Okay. So we would consent to the $50,000 bond. He was on probation at the time. Yes.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 3 Joseph Lowry Boulevard. No further contact with Christopher Smith. Can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You also need to provide an address to the jail upon bonding out. $10,000 per count. Best of luck to you, sir. Lamonte Render. Mr. Cho, 24, 23 CP 216423, 93 days without indictment, death by receiving stolen property, no bond as of February the 21st.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Render, 27 prior arrests, 9 misdemeanors, 3 FTAs, 2 probation violation, prior robbery conviction, nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Judge, this is inexplicably in Superior Court, I would say, Judge, just based on the review of the warrant. The allegation is an iPhone 13. Per the warrant itself, it says it's $750. If you go to apple.com, you can get an iPhone 13 for $699. That is brand new. Just a Google search of iPhone 13s will show that replacement value for an iPhone 13 ranges from $503 to $458 to $434. I think that just depends on how many gigabytes of data there is, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but storage. So Judge, we acknowledge the history. Mr. Render is entitled to a bond at this point. There is a Department of Corrections hold. Paperwork is in Odyssey as well as hold itself. And so if the court's inclined, if the state's inclined, respectfully, we'd ask the court and the state to consider a UJR to the parole hold. If not, Judge, we would ask for a bond commensurate to a misdemeanor. In this case, Mr. Render's 28. He has a good address. It is in Atlanta, 30349. I have also spoken with his brother as well, who cares about Mr. Render very much and has been in contact with our office in regards to Mr. Render's case. Judge, he was he's currently unemployed, but previously was working employed as a cook. He's a father of a 9-year-old, and Judge, he does have ties in the community, including his sister. We also have a good mailing address if the court requires. Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
All right, Mr. Chair, what bond amount were you requesting?
UJR to
UJR.
the hold. I know it's a reach. I appreciate your consideration.
All right. Yeah, that's a bit of a reach. The state would request a $15,000 bond for Mr. Render.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2314 Omaha Road Southwest. No further contact with Siobhan, Shevan, last name Howard, Howard. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, you'll have 48 hours after you're released from the Department of Corrections, sir, to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. Let's do a $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Deputy Malkin. I believe all the other cases have been released or indicted. May be excused, please.
Yes, Mr. Cho. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right, yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. LC Pernoman. All right. Thank you, ACDC. You got 23 CP 216003, 109 days without indictment as of February the 26th. There's a $500 split bond with no bond on count 1 of driving, fleeing, attempting to elude expired license plate or decal, driving with suspended or revoked license. Going 140 miles an hour, allegedly. Preach. Wow.
What did you say, Judge?
Pennerman, it's number 3.
Yeah, okay. 2 arrests in Georgia. I think 7, or it's 1 or 7 in Michigan, 4 in Texas. There's a whole prior offense against a police officer. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to clarify. I don't believe I have the information that he was going 140. That's the road he was on, was Georgia 140. So I just wanted to.
I thought so it was said in the warrant. I could have misread it.
It said on Georgia 140 at a high rate of speed. So I just wanted the court to know that the allegation for the felony fleeing is the running of one singular red light. My client was actually pulling over in his apartment complex, and that's where he was met by the cops after they were trying to stop him. So it wasn't that he fled and hurt anybody, got in any kind of car accidents. The allegation was just that he ran one red light. He has been in for over the 90 days, so he is statutorily required to receive a bond today. We would be asking for a $2,000 good bond at this point. He is 23 years old and does have a good address in the Atlanta area where he will live with his brother, whom is watching on the YouTube in support of Mr. Pennerman. He's actually been an assistant manager at McDonald's for 3 to 4 years now. He can go back, and he actually has a shift that they're picking him up and wanting him to come back this Friday. That's how much he is needed at his job and how much he is really motivated to get out. He's a high school graduate and has, again, ties to the community. So with that being said, and the fact that he is statutorily eligible and required to get a bond, we would be asking for $2,000. I've spoken with Mr. Pennerman. He is okay with an ankle monitor so long as he would be able to go to work and any religious activities, and then also just the basic necessities in life that he would need to be able to go to.
I did say 140 at a high rate of speed. Sorry about that. Well, I'm getting older tomorrow, so it's my eyes.
I know. 140 as a speed seems kind of high. I wanted to clarify it was Georgia 140, not 140 rate of speed, Your Honor. We would be asking for 2,000 total. We'd ask that the 250 stay on the 2 charges that are already there, and then 1,500 on the charge that's currently in no bond status. My argument is that there was not too much of a felony fleeing, but I know that's for a different day.
Go ahead.
That may be his goal, to go 140 on 140. I don't know, but the state would request a $5,000 bond based on his priors. He's got quite a few priors, not that deep roots in Georgia, prior offense against the police. Thank you.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no driving until your bond is amended. You're gonna have an income monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you're going to be working. So you got 5,000 UJR to the jail and 250. 5,000 UJR to the jail and 250. Best of luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, if I may ask for one clarifying point, instead of having to do a modified bond order, could we just put, which is the law, that he's not driving until he gets his license reinstated, instead of having to present the court with an amended order?
Mr. Malcolm?
I think that's okay. Yeah,
Alright.
he would have to.
Unless you
pay
show
any
proof of
fees,
a
et cetera.
valid license.
Yeah,
Show
right.
proof of a valid license. No driving until you show proof of a valid license. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that concludes my business with the court tonight. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you. Have a good week.
You as well. Thank you.
Melvin Biddle. Position 15, Bostic 23, CP 216449, 90 days without indictment, $5,000 good bond as of February the 23rd. Criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. Preach. Wow.
Biddle, 22 arrests, 7 misdemeanor history of theft by shoplifting, a 2017 battery, 1 felony obstruction in 2018, 1 arrest for probation violation, arrests in North Carolina and Florida. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. He does have a good mailing address at 6343 Cove Creek Drive in Charlotte. That's where his mother and grandmother live. 28215 is the zip code there. As mentioned, he is residentially challenged, but has been living in the Atlanta area for the last 8 years. He's 42 years old, initially coming from North Carolina. Your Honor, he was initially before his arrest, long before his arrest, he was on disability, diagnosed schizophrenic. After being most recently released from custody back in December, his disability was cut off and he has not had any access to mental health care. Your Honor, we are asking for his bond to be reduced to $3,000 or a UJR to any sort of mental health program that we can find for him. Any sort of inpatient treatment we can find for him. Again, I have been in contact with a social worker, but his bond is currently set, cannot be paid until we find housing.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Can I ask what is the status of the assistance for him to receive to assist him as far as his mental health issues?
Oh, to get him into a program? Do you have an update on that?
So we are still in the process of finding a location. We have not found a location yet. The severity of the issues that Mr. Biddle is experiencing came to my attention a couple weeks ago. And that is that's kind of the basis for our search. Mr. Biddle, this wouldn't be a good time to talk right now, sir.
Go ahead, Mr.
I'm gonna have somebody come out and talk to you this week, though.
What are you asking for? 3,000?
3,000 slash UJR to the program.
All right, we can agree to that.
All right, 3,000 or a UJR to the program, whatever Mr. Cazzoli, he'd submit an order. Well, let's see, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1041 West Peachtree Street, that's 11th Street Pub. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Cazzoli. If you don't have any more cases, you can leave the meeting. I'm not sticking around.
I'm sorry, Judge, I missed the amount. Did you say 3,000 or UJR to the whole?
Right, UJR to a program. Mr. Cazzoli's trying to get him into a program.
Okay, thank you.
You're free to go, Mr. Biddle.
All right, Giovanni Reyes. All right, this is 23 CP 216467, 91 days without indictment, criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, $25,000 good bond as of February the 23rd. Wow.
1 misdemeanor criminal trespass, nothing further.
5 North, booth 3. Is that 5 North? Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You can step out and get food. You can step out, but come back in so you won't miss your case. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Reyes is 24 years old. He's currently residentially challenged. He's been living in Georgia for the last 2 months. He initially had plans to return to Florida. Obviously, that has been a bump. This incarceration has been a bump of the road for him. He was originally working at Taco Mac before his incarceration, working as a dishwasher. Your Honor, based on the fact that he has such a limited criminal history, I know the initial bond set here, 25,000, came as a shock to the both of us. So we're asking for a significant lowering to $5,000.
You say he doesn't have an address?
Currently does not, Your Honor, but once again, he is also going to be working with our social worker.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. I'm looking at the warrant and I'm curious why there's not an arson charge, why it's just criminal damage. So I would anticipate an arson charge when the case gets indicted. Say it would request a $20,000 bond.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 760 Virginia Avenue. No further contact with Ronak, Ronak Patel. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working and participating in any program Mr. Cazzola gets you into. Also, you have to supply an address to the jail so that you can be released, an address where you will be living. $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. DeMarcus Smith. I got 2 more cases. DeMarcus Smith. There we go. 23 CP 216127. DeMarcus Smith, 104 days without indictment. $40,000 good bond as of February the 10th. Possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance, possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance, battery, possession of drug-related objects, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and escape, custody, and confinement. Pre-trial. Mr. Rhodes, you can leave. You have no more cases. Go ahead. Bostic.
28 prior arrests, currently on probation for a charge associated with CWAC. Sentence 9/12/17, 2 years confinement, 8 years probation. Nothing further.
Yes, Mr. Rhodes. You have no more cases. There's
Sorry,
only 2
Judge.
cases left.
What happened with position 14?
They're all those are off the calendar. 14 was reset for some reason.
No, Judge, that's the one I emailed.
No, you said bond was addressed
Hold
on
on.
5/22.
One at a time. What was it? He made bond was already addressed.
You said
Yeah, it
bond was addressed on 5/22 is what
Bond
you.
was addressed on 5/22. And it's just 5/23, so we're not addressing it again.
Understood, Judge.
Go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Smith is 32 years old. As stated, he's been incarcerated 104 days on this case, with a $40,000 bond that he cannot pay. We have a good address for him on Benjamin Circle. That is the address that's on file, and where he'll receive his notices. He is native to Georgia. He lived here his entire life. He does have 1 child who's 10 years old. And his whole family is here in Georgia as well, Judge. So he has very strong ties to the community. He went through the 11th grade and at the time of his arrest was enrolled in a GED course. So I'm sure we'll be able to get back into that. He also was working at the family business, which is a pressure washing company called Praying for a Breakthrough. So given that it's a family business, he is confident he can return to that job as well. So further ties to the community, Judge. He is indigent. He's not able to afford bond. I would ask at this point that the bond be at least cut in half down to 20,000, Judge, if not 5,000 for us to utilize the bail project.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you. The state requests a $35,000 bond for Mr. Smith based on his record, and he was on probation at the time for a CWAC case, serving a 10 to do 2 sentence on the probation part of that, and he escaped or endeavored to escape in the situation. Thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Victoria Williams. Stay away from 187 Maury Avenue Southeast in Atlanta, Georgia. He's gonna live in Fayetteville, right? I think that's the city.
Yes, Judge.
Why is it raising his hand? Do you know? Sir, you're on.
I don't know, Judge. Is there a way to unmute him?
We could try to see if it could be unmuted. You know, sometimes it doesn't work. Sir, Ms. Pinto would advise you not to say anything that's going to hurt your case. Don't deny the charges. We understand you're not guilty, but don't say anything about the charges.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not on probation. I just did a prison sentence to be off probation. I just did all my time and I just got out of prison a year ago. I'm not on probation, period. These are some new charges that I have. That's all. I'm not on probation, period. I stay with my father in Fayetteville. I've been staying there since elementary school. I'm from Georgia, so I don't have no problem. I just made a mistake, man. But anyway.
Okay, all right, that's
unmuted.
that's good, Mr. Smith.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed. Okay. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, exact location you're going to be working, add stay out of Fulton County last year for court or to see your lawyer.
Can we add a basic necessities
Yeah,
exception, Judge?
right. Since basic life necessities. 2,000, 2,000, 7,000 UJR jail, and 10,000. 227 UJR, and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Got that, Miss Pearl?
Got it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Miss Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a good night.
Sir, I apologize in advance. I think I'm pronouncing this right. Sadon Prinka, 23 CP 216460. 90 days without an indictment, $10,000 good bond as of February the 23rd. Theft by receiving stolen property and possession of tools of the crime. Free. All
Prior go arrest.
right, go ahead, Mr. Kazuli. Bring it home.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Mr. Prinka, is 18 years old. He has a good address at 1272 Killian Way in Lilburn, Georgia, 30047. He lives with his grandmother and his father. He has other family here as well. And he was in 11th grade at the time of his arrest. He was being homeschooled at the time. Your Honor, he maintains his innocence. I believe we do have a preliminary hearing come up, and we hope to make progress there as well. But for now, Your Honor, we're asking for his bond to be cut in half to $5,000.
All right, Mr. Kazuli.
That was already me, Your Honor.
Oh, I mean, Mr. Malkin. Yeah.
All right.
Hearing you, but thinking of Mr. Malkin. Sorry about that.
We can consent to that, the 5,000.
Okay, 2,500 on each count. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Victoria Griffin. Stay out of Fulton County, sir, last year for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas. Don't come here for anything. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county. We'll keep you on the straight and narrow. Sir, you got a long life ahead of you, and I want you to do good, okay? All right, so 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, or school. Has he finished school, Mr. Kazoli?
No, Your Honor, he was currently enrolled at the time he was incarcerated.
All right, in school, sir, just provide that your proof of enrollment and that you're going to school, and proof of employer.
Your Honor, since he has been in for a while, I don't know if whether that enrollment, whether he has been removed from that. Can any proof of GED enrollment as well be?
Yeah, some type of school, GED. I don't know if you can do summer school and graduate or what have you, but yeah, Mr. Kazoli, any of that would be good.
Does that work for you, Mr. Prenka? Okay. All right, sir. Take care.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. And I think that's it. All the other cases are off the calendar.
Judge, before we let Mr. Cozelli leave, I have a question on position 15.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put UJR to the program or 3,000 good if not accepted into the program.
Do we know what program, Mr. Kazoli, yet, or?
No, Judge. We've been kind of peppering every possibility there. We had a bit of a wake up call about the severity when we were in court. I believe last week, if not 2 weeks ago.
So is it an addiction or MH?
It's pretty severe MH.
Okay, so it'll be some sort of MH program. Yes, you can put down there for them, right? And is it gonna be, you're gonna
Yeah,
try
I
to
just don't want it to get, I just don't want it to get kicked back from jail records. Sometimes they want us to be super
Yeah.
specific, which program, who the person need to be released to, so.
So,
But if we have to do an amended order, that's fine too.
yeah, okay.
I'll
So,
put UJR to the program, a mental health program or 3,000 good.
right, and then how about you put that to be identified by Mr. Cazzoli?
I can put that.
Yeah, maybe
Sounds
that'll,
good.
maybe that'll help from getting it kicked back.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Cazzoli. Anything else, Ms. Porter?
No, Judge, that's it for me.
What about you, Ms. Robinson?
I have a couple questions, but I can wait till everybody leaves.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Captain Betts.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Captain.
Judge,
you,
I did
everybody.
have one more thing.
Okay.
Happy birthday. I didn't know it was tomorrow.
It's tomorrow,
I won't
54.
see you tomorrow, so happy birthday.
54. You're supposed to say I don't look a day over 53.
You aging backwards.
Yeah, Benjamin Button, right? Thank you.
Yes, Benjamin Button.
Thank you. All right, what
All
else you
right,
got?
I'm working on orders.
All right.
All righty.
Do you have
Goodbye,
another
Jeff.
question? Oh, that was it? All right. Thank
No,
you.
that's it.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Gandy.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm.
Happy birthday, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy 39th.
Exactly. Thank you.
Happy
All right.
birthday, good night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Bye-bye.